We continue our discussion today on portfolio, no? Portfolio optimization. We haven't actually started discussing portfolio optimization. Yesterday was more on preparing our data, okay, preparing the data frame we will be working on. Okay, we learned different ways of constructing a data frame which contains the stock prices. One of which we used the QMAU package, no? Ito, we used the QMAU package. Before this, we learned how to construct a data frame of stock returns using di ba yung nag-do that call tas merge tayo, no? Okay, we did that. And also yung return that calculate. Okay, so several ways to do this. Pero para sa akin, one of the easiest is yung make return frame na to, or RF. Okay, so how do you go about creating a data frame where you have the returns, not the returns, and not necessarily the prices. So sabi natin, you have to have the individual assets. So we use get symbols in order to download Apple, Google, Microsoft, Intel, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, Tesla, and GSPC. No? Tapos yung date natin from December 31, 2016 to November 31, 2021. Okay. Now having those individual assets as in our objects. So andun na sila. Kita ko lang dito. Ayan, Facebook, Google, GSPC, Intel, Amazon. Okay, so they're all there. Okay, what we do is to yesterday we said that we can create a frame containing only the adjusted prices. No? So this we did yesterday using the make price frame from the QMAO package, QMAO package. Okay, or the shortcut for this is the price frame. So dito, sabi natin, ang gusto natin yung adjusted price. So let me just run this just to show you and quick review na rin din. So we were able to gather or collect the adjusted prices from the different objects, yung Apple, Google, etc. So this is very convenient. Very convenient siya kasi pag mas madali ito kaysa dun sa merging pa, no? Okay, so if you don't want the stock prices, automatically na rin pwede na rin kunin yung returns mismo, no? So we use the make return frame, or that's the same as RF, the RF function. It's the same, no? So we get the make return frame, dito ko na lang gagawin, no? Return frame, then ito yung mga objects natin, start ng date. Ibig sabihin ito guys, pwede natin ma-subset. If you have this assets from Apple to GSPC, yung asset na yun, dinownload natin from 12/31/2016 to 2021. No? Ibig sabihin, you can still subset that. Pwede ang kunin lang natin yung isang year, kunyari the whole of 2020, etc. Ang preference natin yung adjusted, no? And type is the kung anong klaseng return ang kino-compute natin, pwedeng arithmetic or continuous. Ito yung logarithmic returns. Okay? And then once we have that, i-run lang natin to. Di ba yung RF natin ngayon? Oops. Sorry. RF1 pala. No? Where is my RF1 here? So si RF1, may NA yan dito sa first row kasi di ba pag kinuha natin returns, it's the current value at time t divided by value at time t minus 1. So mababakante yung time t minus 1 natin. So what we did here was just to maintain pa rin yung pangalan, RF1. And then minus lang natin yung first row. Okay? So subtract the first row. Subset natin, tanggalin yung first row. View again. Okay, yan si RF1. So wala na yung ano. Wala na yung first row na not applicable. Okay, so we have this data frame of, let's see kung anong klaseng, ano to? Ano bang type of to? RF1. So double siya, class, ano bang class? Okay, so it's an XTS object, no? Extensible time series, so okay siya. And we, even without running this class, kita naman natin talaga na ano siya, extensible time series kasi yung time niya, it's considered an index and it's not part of your data itself. Okay, so pause muna ako. Meron na ba kayong RF or RF1 na object, guys? Naran nyo na ba to? Paki-chat nga, guys. Paki-check kung andyan na yung object na yun, no? Si RF, tatanggalin ko rin yung return frame natin. John, do you have it already? Santino and Nick? Unmute na lang kayo, guys, ha? Anong function? Hindi mo ba na-install yung ano kahapon? Andito ka dyan kahapon, di ba? Were you here yesterday? Trinay mo yung ano, yung... okay, sige, hindi pa na-install yung QMAO. Okay, so... Pero meron, ang gagamitin mo ngayon, yung ano, yung... Kasi meron din tayong yung return.calculate. Ito, no? Diba? Ito from the performance analytics, yung return.calculate. Meron ka nito. Kasi yung stock returns na to, ba-generate natin kahapon to, returns din siya. No? It's the same as negative 1.19, RF1, negative 1. Oops, bakit iba? Hapon. Bakit, dyan meron ka ng ano, meron ka ng stock returns na object. Kindly compare nga guys yung stock returns na object at saka yung ano natin, yung return frame. Negative 1.12 tapos ito negative 1. Okay, siguro was it sa ano lang sa rounding off ba? 9.6676. Medyo may konting difference, no? I'm wondering whether yung stock returns ba natin return.calculate. Let me check. Baka hindi continuous or logarithmic yung ginamit natin dito. Ayun, okay. return that calculate method is equal to, okay. Hindi ko nalagay yung ano yung method is equal to log. Para pareho dun sa ano sa spelling. Okay, medyo may kaibahan ano, ng konti. There's a bit of difference between yung return that calculate natin. Bakit kaya specific dapat yung ano yun? Stock returns. Negative 1.1198. 1200. So may konting difference, no? A little bit of the difference. Okay, so either meron na ba kayong RF1, RF, or stock returns? Paki-chat naman guys kung if you have that object. So Santino, just gamitin na lang natin yung stock returns, no? Check nyo nga kung may stock returns sa object kayo. Dito sa ano yun, sa dito sa, kaya nga kinompute natin to I anticipated that baka magka-problema sa QMAU. So ulitin ko lang tong ano tong method na to. So we used the performance analytics na package. Okay. Ang ginamit natin yung object na adjusted prices. Yung adjusted prices, ito yun guys, no? And then diyan. Yung adjusted prices is here. Ito yung finetch natin, minerge natin yung ano, yung ito here. Okay, di ba? Kasi yung my stocks natin, konting review, yung my stocks natin, okay, it's a list. It's a list of objects. Yung mga stocks na to. Tapos si Apple, ang laman niyan, lahat ng ano, open, high, low, close, etc. Okay, so what we did with, we created a we created a list pa rin, no? Adjusted prices. We also again used lapply, no? Lapply. So if in-fetch niya from the list na my stocks, yung adjusted lang. So nung view natin si ano, si run natin to. Okay, so si adjusted prices, hindi na naman sa akin nagra-run dito, pero nagra-run sa inyo yan. So it's just a list. It's also a list of ba yan, no? List pa rin to. Okay, list pa rin siya. And then from there, ginamit natin yung do that call, no? Ang ginawa, minerge yung mga adjusted prices of all the stocks. Okay, so yan na, ito na yung ano, yung adjusted prices natin. Pinagsama-sama na niya lahat ng adjusted prices from the 8 different list. Okay, and then ginamit natin si ano, si performance analytics to to create an object called stock returns. And then ginamit natin yung return that calculate. Return that calculate ng data frame natin na adjusted prices, and then we use the continuous returns. No? Okay, so ito na yung stock returns natin. Okay, so we're going to use this object stock, ano pa, isa pa, and then minus natin yung first row, no? Okay, so there. Okay, so we're going to use stock returns as the object kasi wala kayong ano eh, wala kayong RF. Eh. Okay, so if you cannot follow along kung wala kayong either RF or yung stock returns na object. Okay, na-fix na. Okay, so kung na-fix mo na dyan, dapat maran mo na yung ano. How about you, Santino? Na-fix mo ba? Kasi kung hindi, you can just use the stock returns na object. Kasi kailangan natin
yes.
yung... Ha?
So I'm just having a problem like everything else downloaded, where it's just the Apple stock returns lang are the only ones po na not downloading.
Apple returns lang?
Yes, sir. It's unable daw to import Apple.
Sandali ha. I-ano mo nga, show mo nga yung gawin ko na lang kayong lahat na co-host.
I think the problem, sir, is line 57. That part po.
Line 57.
Yes, I had to go back, sir, kasi like all of the problems are coming from like one another, and it all stems from like my stocks. Apple kasi won't it's unable to import it.
Ganito na lang, no? Anyway, naka-record naman to. So, just follow along na lang yung ano. Kasi simula pa to, Santino eh, no? Baka hindi mo nasundan yung sa kahapon. Kasi ang ginamit na natin, ito na, nag-create na tayo ng object na may stocks. So, we use the lapply object to get and combine it with the get symbols, no? Para ma-generate natin yung list ng iba't ibang stocks. Okay, so sige, ano na lang muna, Santino, follow along na muna, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige. Tapos anyway, naka-record naman yung session natin. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, si Nick, meron ka bang RF na object? Okay, good. So may RF ka na object? Okay, how about you, John? Naran mo na yung return frame, yung RF. If you were able to run it, well and good kasi yun, para hindi na natin baguhin yung mga yung mga variables dito sa natin sa optimization natin. John? Kasi kung nakuha mo na yung RF, okay? Kung naran mo na yung RF, sa bagay, dito lang naman yun eh. Dito lang sa una. John? Feedback please. Are you there?
Sorry, sir. I was eating, sir. Sorry, sir.
Ano no?
I was eating, sir.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry po, sir.
It's okay.
Sir,
Yeah. Naload mo ba yung RF?
all work properly po, sir. Sorry, sir.
Okay. So may RF na object ka na.
RF1 also.
Okay, sige. Good. Okay. So let's continue, no? So si Santino, Santino will just observe na lang muna, no? Kasi hindi pa nag-run yung mga yung mga objects. Okay. So what we're going to do now is magpa-portfolio tayo optimization. You informed me yesterday na wala talaga kayong subject na where you had a practice on plotting the efficient frontier, coming up with the mean variance, mean MIN at saka mean MEAN, mean variance optimization. where you try to come up with a portfolio that either minimizes the risk or maximizes the returns. So basic yan sa sa portfolio management. So since tama-tama since wala kayong ganun, dito we're going to learn it in the context of R. Kasi when I teach that sa Lobby Fin2, I don't know kung may subject, if you have a subject like that before, I would teach that pero sa Excel. Pero ngayon, R tayo, no? So let's first create a portfolio. Okay, so let's call it port 1. So yung portfolio natin is it comes from the data frame XTS object RF. 'Di ba yung RF ito yung mga returns eh. Kunin lang natin yung so all the rows and the first two columns. In other words, let me flash RF. Si Apple at saka si Google. So mag-ano lang tayo, yung simple muna, no? Let's have a portfolio of 2 stocks. So let's run this. So ang kukunin lang niya yung Apple at saka Google, and then let's check. Mas maganda kung view na lang. Okay na yan, no? So you have now this object port 1 containing 2 columns, Apple at saka si Google. Okay? So ang gagawin natin, guys, mag-construct tayo ng portfolio. We have this portfolio, and then we'd like to determine ano yung portfolio, ano yung mga weights na mag-minimize ng risk, mag-maximize ng return, etc. Kasi that's what portfolio optimization is all about. Okay, so let's first assume that the weights na ilalagay natin kay port 1 is 50-50, no? So we use weight equal to 50-50, so we can compute for the returns, no? Ang function niyan, return that portfolio. So saan galing yung yung return that portfolio? So always a good practice to return that portfolio. Try to learn as much as possible. Yeah, so it's coming from your performance analytics. So lagay ko na lang dito. Performance analytics. Namespace niya. Okay? Para alam na natin kung saan galing to. Okay, so ang kagandahan, guys, si performance analytics, i-compute niya yung return ng portfolio na to. 50-50. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Di ba yung port 1 natin? Let me, na-view ko ba si port 1? I-view natin sandali si port 1 view. Port 1. Para makita natin siya sa spreadsheet. Okay. So, paano kukunin yung return ng portfolio na to kung 50-50? Paano kukunin yung 50-50 na return ng portfolio? Well, i-multiply natin siya sa sa weight, no? So, kunyari dito may Apple tayo na 50%, dito may Google na 50%, tapos i-multiply mo. So, kalahati nito at saka kalahati nito, okay? All right, and then add that up and then add everything. Add everything. So 50% each of them. Okay. So that's what we're going to do here. So return that portfolio. Okay. As an example, so port 1 return. Okay. Port 1 return. That's the name of our object. Performance analytics return that portfolio. Ang object natin is port 1 and then yung weight 0.5, 0.5. Okay, so let's just validate this para clear tayo. Validate natin itong port 1 natin. Diba ito, no? Ito yung una, no? Copy ko siya, Control C, Control V. So this one times 0.5, that's 50%, plus yung returns naman ni returns ni Google times 0.5. So sa first row, guys, kinuha lang natin yung proportion ni Apple na 50%, tapos si Google 50%. Yun yung return for January 4, for the week of date, January 4 pala, the date. Enter. Okay, it's negative 0.000768. Tingnan natin kung yun yung lumabas sa port. Asan na si port? Bukan na muna to. Hindi ko pa view. Review ko dito. View na lang tong view. Oops. Asa na? Naran ko na ba? Naran ko na to. Okay. Ito guys, tingnan nyo. Yan, 76867. Diba? There, 7687. So, nangyari ngayon guys, portfolio returns ng bawat araw, no? Return ng day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Okay? Okay, if you have more than 2 stocks, kunyari 5 stocks, you have to identify the weight of each of the stocks. Kunyari, kung equally weighted siya, so magiging 0.2, 0.2, 0.2 yun, no? Bawat isa 0.2. Oftentimes hindi naman talaga equally weighted. So depende dun sa weight ng ng stock. May iba yung return ng portfolio. Okay, so clear so far to. So viewport 1, ito yung returns niya. Okay, this is based on a 50% na Apple, 50% na Google. Clear ba? John, Nick, clear?
Sorry again, sir.
Sorry?
I washed my plates lang, sir. Sorry, sir.
Okay, okay lang. Sige.
My problem po I have problem po in my screen.
Mm-mm.
It says could not find function return portfolio, sir.
Return that portfolio.
Yes, sir.
Na-load mo na ba si performance analytics?
Uh,
Kasi galing
earlier
i-ano mo muna library mo, subukan mo i-library. Yan, library performance analytics. Sige. Kasi kahit naka-install na yan, di ba alam nyo naman na kapag hindi in-access yan, kapag hindi require, you can't use the functionalities of it. No?
So it worked already, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you, Nick. No? Okay. Now ito guys, itong model na to, you are assuming that yung 50-50 na yan, saan yung saan yung object natin? Yung pangalan nun? Port 1. Okay, ang assumption natin guys, dun sa pag-compute natin ng port 1 rate, is that yung weight will be constant throughout, 50% hanggang dulo. Hanggang dulo. Now, in reality, that's not a good practice. No? Meron tayong tinatawag na rebalancing. So oftentimes, dapat tinitingnan natin yung portfolio natin kung optimal pa ba yung weight natin na, di ba nag-start tayo sa 50-50. So kunyari, after 1 month, check natin, look at the returns, look at the current price. Tapos kung if there's a need to rebalance it or change the weight, dapat gagawin yon. Of course, yung rebalancing may mga cost implications yan kasi that would mean i-unload mo maybe siguro ang lalabas kunyari after 1 month, dapat si Apple dapat 60% siya, dapat si Google 40% lang. Pwedeng ganon or pwedeng vice versa. It's the exercise of determining what's the optimal weight at that period of time. Kasi dito, ang ginawa natin, 50-50 lang hanggang dulo. No? Start ng period natin hanggang dulo, 50 lang siya. And that's not a good practice. Kaya nga meron tayong tinatawag na rebalancing. Fortunately guys, sa performance analytics, merong tinatawag na rebalancing din. No? As I mentioned to you guys, rebalancing is the process of buying and selling portions of your portfolio in order to set the weight of each asset class back to its original state. No? Kasi syempre nagbabago yung price, di ba? Pag nagbago yung price, nagbabago yung value niya. Okay? Nagbabago yung returns niyan. No? Okay, so usually nagre-rebalance. It can be monthly, quarterly, every 6 months, etc. So dito as an exercise, gagawan lang natin ng monthly rebalancing. No? And what's good about the performance analytics is that pwedeng yung gagawin nating portfolio returns will be rebalanced. Mababago lang siya sa yung function natin, return that portfolio, pareho pa rin yung weight, and then rebalance on months. Ibig sabihin, let's just take a look at our data. No? Ang data kasi natin from July 1, di ba? January 4, which is actually basta January ng 2017 hanggang December ng 2021. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 5 years tayo 5 years yung data. So, sabi natin through the performance analytics, i-rebalance siya every month, no? I-rebalance siya every month. Ibig sabihin, titingnan niya kung ano yung dapat na weight. Okay, sige, let's see. Let's run this. Run. Okay. So notice natin na ito 7, tingnan natin 7667, okay lang to. Yung first 6 months yan, pareho lang yan. 704. Okay. Kasi the rebalancing will take place after 1 month. So tingnan natin guys yung okay, tingnan natin sa January 31, negative 4.58. Pag dito, pareho pa rin, no? 4.58 o 166, 4.58 o 166. Yung pangalawa, 2.9377. Yung pangatlo, nagbago na, no, di ba? Okay, tingnan nyo, yung February returns dito, 2.89, February 1 returns. Dito, yung February 1 returns dito, 2.93. No? So, nag-rebalance siya. After 1 month, nag-rebalance. Binago niya yung weight. No? So, okay, kasi sabi natin, monthly yung balancing. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do now is, ipapakompute natin through the performance analytics yung annualized returns. Kasi these are daily returns. Returns. So gusto natin i-compare. Compare natin yung walang rebalancing at saka may rebalancing. Okay, so and then gagamitin niya yung pinapagamit natin yung Sharpe ratio. Okay, namit nyo ba? Namit nyo naman yata yung Sharpe ratio, di ba? It's the standardized return kasi kino-compute natin yung returns, bali yung adjusted returns, kasi tinanggal natin yung risk-free rate, then divided by the standard deviation. Then we assume that the risk-free rate is 10%. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so close ko muna to. So itong code na to guys, all port 1 rep, I just used this name, bind natin si port 1 return, yung walang balancing yan, at saka si port 1 rebalancing. Okay, then let's change the name. Let's change the name to non-rebalance at saka monthly rebalance. And then ipa-annualize natin yung returns, no? Table that annualized returns ng object na all port 1 rep, where the risk-free rate, okay, yung annual rate niya is and the daily rate, no? Daily rate is 0.1 divided by 252 kasi yung data natin sa mga daily rate, daily returns, di ba? Okay, so when we run this, okay, take a look. So, yung annualized return na hindi rin i-balance, ibig sabihin 50% throughout yung weight ng ng Apple at saka Google, you notice that the average annual return is 0.32%, pero kay rebalance 0.33, mas mataas, no? Mas mataas. So there's really a purpose why you should be rebalancing. Tapos yung annualized standard deviation niya 2677 into 26.23. Not only did the annualized return went up, the annualized deviation, the annualized risk went down, resulting of course to a bigger Sharpe ratio. No? So makikita natin in terms of Sharpe ratio, which is a metric for determining the performance of an asset, we can see here a great improvement. Okay, ilang percent ba nag-improve yung annualized return na yan? Ilang percent yung ano niya, yung lamang? Control C. Control V. Okay, so the return is greater than almost 4%. No? 4% yung lamang ng Sharpe ratio ng monthly na rebalance versus the non-rebalance. Okay, let me pause for a while, guys. Okay, nakahabol ba kayo? Umabot kayo dito? Guys? Shall I proceed? Hello? Okay, thank you. Okay. So far, ito, kinumpute lang naman natin yung portfolio returns. But the true lesson that we will have to take is optimization. Hindi pa tayo nag-optimize dito. Okay, so optimization, we will have to determine kung ano yung weights dapat na linaload natin for the individual stocks. No? Okay, so again, we're going to make use of yung portfolio optimization. Two of the objectives could be to minimize the variance or minimize the risk, or mean and variance optimization. So you also consider the returns. Okay, not only the risk but also the return. Okay, so paano natin gagawin yan dito? So these are the steps which I already summarized, steps in performing optimization in R here. Unang-una, of course, i-define natin yung portfolio returns na dapat natin i-optimize. Pangalawa, magdadagdag tayo ng constraints. So ano ba yung constraints na yan? Kunyari, yung mga weights ba, pwede ba siyang maging zero yung weight? Or dapat lahat ng stocks, kunyari 10 stocks yan. Kasi paano kung pag hindi tayo maglagay ng constraint, kunyari we want to maximize the returns, ang gagawin ni R, ilo-load niya 100% ng weight dun sa pinaka-highest na return na asset. And we don't want that kasi ang mangyayari niyan, so wala nang portfolio. Lahat na lang linode dun sa isang asset na yon na number one performer dun sa portfolio na. Let me just illustrate that. No? Quickly lang. Let me just explain why we need yung constraint na to. Okay, kunyari guys, si Apple, kunyari may 3 stocks tayo, no? So kunyari ang average return ng Apple, kunyari 0.25. Example lang to ha. So 0.13 and then 0.05. Example only. Okay, sa portfolio guys, sa portfolio optimization, we will need to include constraints. Ano ba yung constraints? Constraints are limitations, no? Constraints. Kailangan isama natin yung constraints. Okay? And the last is yung objectives. Okay, ganyan ang optimization. Laging kasama to. Constraints and optimization and objectives. Why do we need to put constraints? Example, ang gusto natin, i-maximize natin yung returns. Okay? So kung yan ang objective natin, which is to maximize returns, ang gagawin niya, kung wala tayong constraints, i-load niya dito yung 100% yung asset. So ito, 0%, 0% to. So what you reduce to just a single asset. So nawawala yung concept ng yung importance ng diversification. Okay? So an example of a constraint is kunyari dapat at least may minimum na 10% ang isang asset, pero ang maximum niya dapat hindi siya lalampas ng 50%. Example, that's a constraint. So with that constraint, with that limitation, lahat magkakaroon ng load ng weight, no? Lahat magkakaroon ng share dun sa portfolio. Okay? Another example of a constraint. 'Di ba ito mga weights to, no? These are weights. Weight 1, 100, weight 2, weight 2, weight 3. Example, kunyari pwedeng 50% to, 30%, 20%. Yan yung portfolio natin. No? Ito yung distribution ng weights ng portfolio natin for Apple, for Google, for Netflix. Kasi kung alam natin yung mga weights yan, mako-compute natin yung portfolio return. Just multiply 50% by 25, 30 by 0.13, and 20 by 0.05. Okay? Ngayon, di ba pag inad natin to 100%? So that's another constraint that we can put. Dapat, yung mga weight dapat equal to 100%. Kasi we will not allow yung taking a long position, no? Or a short position. Okay, so hindi pa pwedeng kunyari ito 80, tapos ito 40, tapos ito negative 20. Okay? Since ang weights natin minimum of 10, maximum of 50 kunyari, so therefore this will be all positive. Okay? Tapos pwede natin i-impose that dapat yung total weight is 100%. Now sometimes sa modeling, sa optimization, this can be very restrictive. Okay? So sometimes hindi makukuha ng model natin kung 100% mag-error. So what we can do is yung iba, rinirelax yan ng konti. Minimum of 0.99, maximum of 1.01. Parang may 1%, 1% allowance. No? So pag ganyan, tinatanggap naman ng model yan. Instead of the strict full investment na 100%. Okay, so those are just examples of constraints. No? So that's why we need those constraints and we need to put that in the model. Step 3 is add the objectives. Step 4, after having defined the constraints, the objectives, pwede natin i-optimize. Tapos extract na natin yung weights and other measures and maybe generate other outputs like charts, tables, etc. So ito yung sinamarize ko lang yung usual na ginagawa pag nag-optimize. No? Okay? So once again, gagamitin natin si portfolio analytics dito. Okay. So gagamitin muna natin guys si port 1. Sino si port 1? Si port 1 yung yung returns ng Apple at saka Google. Okay? So ang gagamitin lang natin guys, 2 asset muna tayo. For your take home activity, you will be using at least 10 stock portfolio, tapos i-optimize nyo to. Kukunin nyo yung mean variance, minimum variance, anong weight nun. Kukunin nyo yung mean, MEAN, mean variance then, the maximization of returns, and then composition nun, and then draw the efficient market. Okay? Draw the capital market line, okay, and the efficient market line. Okay, so tuloy natin to. Okay, so step 1 natin, okay, we'll create an object called port. Ginawa ko lang itong pangalan, port spec 1. And we're going to use portfolio spec. Ano si portfolio spec? Okay, gagamitin natin tong port spec 1 in setting up our constraints, no? So portfolio.spec, ang asset natin, column names ng port 1. Ano ba yung port 1 natin? So, di ba, si Apple at saka si Google. Okay? Alright, so yun yung first step natin. Create lang natin tong object na ang tawag natin port spec 1 using the portfolio spec. No? If you want to learn more about yung portfolio that spec na object, it's always good to use the help function ni R. So galing siya sa yan. Okay, ito yung portfolio that spec from portfolio analytics. This object, okay, is used to hold the initial asset weights, constraints, objectives, and other information about the portfolio. Okay? So it's a parang placeholder siya. Ando dun, ilalagay yung asset weights, yung constraints, yung objectives, and other information about the portfolio. The only required argument to portfolio spec is assets. Ito lang yan, no? Ito lang yung argument doon. Assets is equal to, so ano yung mga assets natin? So sabi natin, kinuha natin yung column names ng object na port 1, which are, asset name natin is Apple and Google. Okay? Okay, next. Step 2. Ito na. Ipapasok na natin yung constraints. Okay, so here are some examples of constraints. Number 1, ito yung sinasabi ko, yung full investments. So dapat strictly the sum of the assets must equal to 100%. In usual circumstances, okay lang yan. Pero sometimes the model masyadong nagiging restrictive yan, no? Kaya sometimes we allow na i-relax ng konti yung constraint na yan. We allow kunyari 0.99% yung total weight at saka 1.01 or 101% yung total weight maximum. Okay? So full investment is one constraint. Secondly, weight sum. No? Weight sum constrains the total weight of the portfolio to a specific percentage. So kunyari, ang gusto mo, hindi naman 99% or 101%. Kung gusto mo, ang total weight lang 80% for whatever reason. No? For whatever reason, 80% lang. So ilalagay natin yung weight sum should be 80%. Okay, third constraint is box. Okay? Yung box allows for a minimum and maximum weight. Itong weight sum at saka yung full investment, ito yung total total weight. Yung box naman, pwede natin kunyari si Apple, gagawin natin siyang minimum na 50% and maximum na 60%. Example lang. You use the box constraint for that, for the individual asset. Tapos long only, asset weights can only be positive. So ibig sabihin walang short selling, walang short position dito. Okay? So long only position. So dapat yung mga weights lahat positive. Okay. All right? So create na tayo guys ng create na tayo ng ng constraints, no? Okay. So i-store natin siya guys dito sa port spec, di ba? Okay, tingnan nyo So lahat ng mga constraint, dito lang natin ilalagay. Ang mangyayari niyan, sabi ko nga, di ba, parang holder siya. Doon isushoot lahat ng mga constraint natin. Okay. So let's take a look at this, yung unang constraint. Yan, port spec. Ginawa ko lang siyang comment, port spec. Pero usually yan, type is equal to full investment. Ano ibig sabihin ng type is equal to full investment? Ibig sabihin yan guys, dapat yung weights equal to 100%. Okay? So yan muna gamitin natin. Tapos ito kasi naran ko na to, tapos nagka-error ako dito. Kaya rinelax ko. Yan, tingnan ko. Tingnan, type is equal to weight sum. Okay, so that the minimum of the weight, the sum of the weight is 99%. The maximum is 1.01. Kaya ginamit ko yung weight sum dito. Pero sige, i-comment muna natin to. Ito muna i-run natin. Okay? Tapos, ang susunod, Okay, next is ito. So we just keep on adding constraints dun sa port spec 1. No? So add constraint again. Okay, portfolio is equal to port spec 1. Okay, take note yung portfolio natin, yung port spec 1. No? So dagdag lang tayo ng dagdag ng constraint doon. Type is equal to long only. Ano yung long only? Ibig sabihin, hindi pa pwedeng maging hindi pa pwedeng maging sorry, medyo na nalobat. Hindi pa pwedeng maging negative yung weights, no? Long position lang. Lahat ng weights dapat positive. Okay? Thirdly, nagdagdag naman tayo. Okay, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Kung hindi tayo maglalagay dito ng box, tapos kung gusto natin i-maximize yung returns, ang gagawin niyan, ilo-load lahat sa ilo-load lahat kay Apple. No? Kasi mas okay, whatever the average is, kung mas mataas si Apple, doon niya lahat ilo-load. No? Okay, kaysa kay Google. Okay, so i-run natin to guys. Full investment tayo. Ibig sabihin, exactly 100% dapat yung total ng mga weights. So let's run this. Pag rinun natin guys, oops, yun, tingnan nyo. Saan dito? Port spec not found, ibig sabihin, hindi ko pala na-run to, sorry. Run ko muna to. Okay, so tingnan nyo. Okay, number of assets 2, Apple at saka si Google. Okay, tapos, dito, i-run ko na to. Yan. Okay. So, if you take a look guys, ano ba yung laman ng port spec? I-view ko lang dito View. So far, ano ba laman ng port? View port underscore spec 1. Ano laman ng object na yan? Let's see. Okay, dito. Tingnan nyo. List siya, no? Ano laman niya? May assets daw. Okay? Na may ang weight 50-50. May category labels. Okay, may weight sequencing ba yan? May constraints 3, no? If I click this, yung constraints na to, click mo na itong assets. Yan, si Apple, si Google. Ang weight niya 0.5, 0.5. Okay? I-click ko si constraints. Yan. Ito yung constraints natin. Weight sum, box constraint, at saka box constraint. Okay? Tapos wala pang objectives kasi hindi pa natin pinapasok yung objectives. Alright? So it's a, parang sinasabi ko nga, it's a container which will contain yung ano natin, yung mga constraints natin at saka yung objective natin. Alright? So let's go here now. Okay. Third step, add objective. Okay, ano yung objective natin? Okay. Alam niyo naman guys na pag portfolio optimization, either you maximize the returns. So ang type doon, ang tawag, return. Obviously. So the objective may be risk minimization or returns maximization. So pwede to minimize in objective, ang type nyo is equal to risk. Okay? So let's first start with risk minimization. All right? So ngayon, magke-create tayo ng panibagong object. Tatawagin natin siyang portfolio minimum variance 1, okay? Port spec, port mean var, okay? And port spec 1 siya, no? Ano ibig sabihin nito? Nagke-create tayo ng panibagong object. Ang laman din niya, port spec 1. Remember, si port spec 1, it's a container. Doon natin ilalagay si yung assets natin, si objectives, at saka si constraints, no? Okay, so nag-create lang akong panibagong object, itong port min var, para doon ko okay, take note Sige, i-run ko to. And pag i-view natin si guys, i-view natin si port min var, pag i-view natin yung object na yan, siya din, yung port spec 1 din yun, no? Pareho lang. Now we're doing this, okay, just to Okay, para ma-preserve pa rin natin si port spec 1. Tapos, tingnan nyo, add that objective. Okay, add that objective. Portfolio natin is port min var, which is actually the same as port spec 1. And then type is equal to risk. So this is risk minimization, no? Diba? Kasi ang type niya, risk. Pag ang type natin risk, minimize natin to. Tapos yung name niya, ang measurement, standard deviation. Okay, and then let's access again what port min var is. View na lang natin to. Okay. So run natin tong chunk of code na to. Run. Okay, tingnan nyo guys, no? Okay. So si port min var, okay, assets, category, weight, constraints, objectives. Okay. Although na-identify na natin yung objectives dito, wala pa kasing output, no? Okay. So na-add na natin yung objective, no? Alright. Huwag muna natin i-run yung ano. I-run na muna natin guys yung minimum risk. Okay, so I'll go here to row 402. Okay. The last step guys is optimization na, no? So first, identify the asset, and then ano yung constraints, tapos ano yung objective natin, okay? And then i-optimize na natin. Okay, we use the optimize portfolio function. Control C, okay? Tingnan lang natin sandali kung ano tong optimize portfolio na to, no? Again, this is from performance analytics. Yan. Description. This function aims to provide a wrapper for constraint optimization of portfolios that specify constraints and objectives. Yun. Okay, so ginagamit natin to optimize our portfolio, no? And optimize that portfolio. So iba't ibang klaseng method, no? May method na tingnan muna natin yung optimize method. So what are the different methods? Yan. Okay, may DE optimization, may random, ROI, PSO. There are different methods. Okay. Ang isang popular at saka madalas ginagamit is random. Kasi I don't know if you have may subject kayong optimization, di ba? Paki-confirm nga guys, the management science nyo. We learned about optimization, yung mag-create ka ng linear programming model. Tapos i-identify mo yung objectives, yung constraints. Paki-ano nga, please, paki-confirm. Yeah, I think that's DSI management. Tama ba dyan? Did you learn optimization here, linear programming? I-identify nyo yung decision variables, yung objective at saka yung constraints. Yes. So medyo ito ganun din, no? Only ito sa context ng finance tayo. Ginagamit natin yung optimization in terms of sa portfolio. Okay, so let's jump to meron tayong okay, ito, no? So let's now run yung risk minimization natin. So okay, I'm again creating another object, min var optimization 1. So let's call it min var opt1, and then the function is optimize that portfolio. Okay, number 1. Ano yung asset natin? R is equal to port 1. Di ba yung port 1 guys, ito yung mga returns, di ba? So yung port 1, di ba? Ito yung mga returns ni Apple at saka ni Google. Okay, so we need to identify that. Ano yung R doon is our assets, no? Then portfolio is equal to, di ba? Ito yung port min var, di ba? Ano laman itong port min var? Andyan yung pangalan ng assets natin, andyan yung pangalan ng constraints, andyan yung pangalan ng objective. And then optimize method is equal to random. Now we need to set that seed para pareho yung answer natin. Kasi pag hindi set that seed, since randomized to, magkakaiba tayo ng answer. Okay? So let's run this, guys. Run. Okay. What happened? Tingnan nyo, ha? See, andito, lumabas na dito, hindi pa lumalabas dito sa script window ko. Lumabas na dito sa console, no? Okay, ano sabi dito? Leverage constraint, min, sum, max sum are restrictive. Ito yung sinasabi ko, guys, no? Okay, pag nagko-constraint tayo ng full investment, minsan, yan, no, hindi nakukuha yung model. Kahit anong iteration na ginagawa, hindi nakukuha. Kaya ang suggestion dito, i-relax yung constraint na yon. Okay, gawing min sum 99, maximum sum 1.01. Okay? So that's why, guys, kasi ginawa ko na to, no? That's why balik tayo dito sa ano natin sa okay, here yung objective natin, okay? Tanggalin natin yung comment dito, ibalik natin ngayon sa comment si full investment. Ayan. Okay, now you know why I just place it here, but I place another constraint here. So na siya. Oops. Ito na. Another constraint. Dito. No? Ito. So we will have to rerun this. Rerun natin yung mga rerun natin previously. Run natin to. Rerun. So mababago na yung constraint na na full investment. Weight sum na yan. Tapos i-rerun din natin itong objective natin. Okay, we have to rerun this. Kasi nabago na yung natin. Nabago na yung port spec natin. Okay, and then i-run natin itong wag na muna natin i-run yung mean, yung maximizing returns, no? Run na natin to. Okay, again, set that seed tayo, guys. And then optimize natin. There. Okay. Yun yung nagra-run na, no? Okay, let's wait for the result. Takes a little time. Pero lalo na, guys, kung mas malaki yung portfolio natin, kasi ito 2 asset portfolio lang to. Your take-home project, one of them is this one. Pag-optimization kayo ng hindi pwedeng pare-parehong asset, tapos ikukwento nyo, guys, kung ano yung nangyari dun sa optimization nyo, no? ng portfolio nyo. Okay, so let's see. Tingnan natin, guys, kung ano yung laman ng ano tong yan. So it's also a list, no? Andun yung weights, andun yung objective measures. Okay, pumasok na dito yung andun na rin yung optimized values. Andito na. Okay? So we have portfolio, ano to? Yung kanina to, assets, categories, weight, constraints, objectives, andito na, no? Tapos data summary, and first, last, elapsed time, and tapos andito yung objectives, okay? Andito yung constraints. So placeholder to, no, container tong object na to, itong min var opt1. Kaya ando doon yung port spec 1, ando doon din yung min var 1. So parang pinagsama-sama natin lahat, no? Yung laman, pati yung output. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so pwede din natin malaman yung by the names yan. Weights, optimal values, portfolio, objective measures, etc. Okay. Now we extract, no? Kunin na natin yung laman ng optimal portfolio natin, no? Okay, so extract weights ng mean var opt natin, opt1, run natin to. Okay, ito yung answer niya. So ang sinasuggest niya, in order to minimize risk, dapat si Apple, ang weight niya, 0.32, si Google 0.67. Okay? So that's the answer. Okay. Take note guys, wala pang rebalancing yan ha. Ang ginagamit lang natin yung walang rebalancing kasi pwede natin gawin yon. Okay, so another way to do this is pwede yung function na extract weights, pwede yung min var opt1. Di ba may laman yan? Isang laman yan yung weight. So ito. Di ba yan no? So andun yung weights. No? So pwede natin i-run to. We'll get the same answer. There. So yan guys, ang ano, yan to minimize risk, dapat ang portfolio natin 32% si Apple, 67% si Google. Take note, hindi siya ano, strictly speaking 0.99 lang siya, no? 0.99. Hindi niya pinaabot ng 100%. Okay. So, isa pa tingnan natin guys yung extract objective measures. Pareho lang yan sa min var opt1 objective measures. Let's see. Okay, so guys, yung computation ng risk natin for the portfolio is 0.016. Okay, 0.016. Okay, kuha nyo class. Tingnan nga natin guys kung ano nangyari. Let's see. ST standard deviation. Kunin natin standard deviation ni port 1. From port 1 guys, kunin natin standard deviation ni Apple. Okay, so i-measure natin yung risk ni Apple ha. See, tingnan natin. Ano yung risk ni Apple? 0.019. Okay? 0.019. Ano yung risk ng ano natin ng portfolio? Di ba 0.016, mas mababa. Okay, tingnan natin yung ano yung control C, control V. Let's get the risk of Google. 0.17, 0.017. Di ba? Yung risk ng portfolio natin is less than the risk of any of the two assets. Because that's what we wanted, no? We asked the model to come up with a portfolio which minimizes risk. So ang sinasabi sa atin ng model natin, it's if you want to minimize risk, wag yung 100% Apple yung ano nyo, yung investment. Because pag 100% Apple ka, 1.9% yung risk mo. Pag 100% Google ka, 1.7% yung risk mo. Pag nag-portfolio ka, then you have 0.016. Subukan natin guys ito. What if control C, control V, mali. Return siyang iniisip ko. Okay, so you get the point guys. Kita niyo yung yung na we were able to minimize returns, okay, by this weight. Yung weight na pinapakita sa atin na optimal weights. Questions guys, paki-chat naman please kung naiintindihan. Kung clear tayo so far.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Clear.
good. Good.
Just getting used na lang to the commands. Getting used to the commands lang po.
Okay, good. Thank you, Santi. How about John and Nick? How about you?
They are working, sir.
Okay, good. Clear naman so far yung ano natin, yung ginagawa natin dito. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sige, good. Okay. Now, pwede tayo mag-generate ng ng charts, 'di ba? Yung step 6 eh. Generate charts. Okay, we can i-run natin tong chart.weights. Chart.weights. Okay, so ano siya, no? So the chart.weights sa portfolio analytics din siya, okay? And ang binibigay niya, charts the optimal weights of a portfolio run. Okay? So nag-optimize that portfolio tayo or optimize that portfolio, that rebalancing. So gagawin natin itong rebalancing ngayon, no? Okay. So yung una, ito pa yung without rebalancing guys, ha? Ito yung 50% all throughout, no? So sige, i-plot natin to. Chart.weights, yung mean var opt1 natin, plot type is equal to bar. Okay, so yan. Kita natin dito na ito yung weights niya. No? So around 32% yung Apple and 67% yung Google. Isang weight lang. Isang ano lang siya, isang weight. Kasi wala naman rebalancing to no? Walang rebalancing. So sinasabi niya, instead of using 50-50, use 32-67. Instead of 50-50, use 32-67. Okay. Alright, so ito yung ano, if you take a look at the usage, guys, mas maraming pwedeng ilagay dito sa ano yung color, yung color. So ito guys, you can just take a look at this usage dito. Ito yung style ng plot, yung ito X, yung main, yung title ng plot, X label kasi nasa X-axis yung stock. Tapos ito yung distance niya from the center, etc. Ito color guys, you can just ito kinuha ko lang sa internet ano yung mga colors using familiar ba kayo sa brewer color? Guys? Familiar ba kayo sa brewer color palette? Yan. Brewer color palettes guys sa R, no? You can use this different colors. Ayan, no? Okay, so may mga pangalan yan. Okay, I just want i-ano na lang, i-research na lang. So different colors of your choice. Ilan yan? Hindi ko maalala kung ilan, 16,000 plus yata. Okay? So this is the A to Z of R color brewer palette you must know. Okay, you can sige, ilagay ko to dun sa ano sa hanapin niyo na lang guys. Kaya nang hanapin yan. No? So R color brewer. I use that. Okay, so I just run this, no? I'll just run this. So inayos lang ng konti yung ano. Yan, may title siya, iba yung color, may labels, weights, at saka may stocks. Hindi ko pa na-explore guys na ilalagay yung value dito, no? Hindi ko nalagay. Pati ito pwede pang i-reposition to. Pwedeng ilagay sa baba yan. Okay, so a lot, you can do a lot with this one. Okay, so ano pa ba? Ito, no? Ito. So ito, we can compute for the performance. Di ba? May portfolio tayo, yung port 1. Pwede natin kunin yung return ng portfolio na yon. Okay? Ang weights na gagamitin natin, yung weights na nakuha natin sa mean var opt1. So weights is equal to extract weights from mean var opt1, which is 0.32 and 0.67. Okay? So here we're creating an object called minimum variance performance 1. Of course, ako na lang naglagay ng pangalan niyan, ano? Okay, let's see what this entails. Okay, so ito ang laman niya. Mean var perform 1. Ano to, guys? So mga returns yan, no? Monthly returns based on the 0.32 at saka 0.67. Now, one good thing about this, yung mean var perform 1, is that we can use the chart's performance summary, okay, of this object mean var perform 1. Kasi dapat, ano siya, dapat yung portfolio, i-check nyo na lang guys itong chart's performance summary. Dapat yung object dito, yung returns ng portfolio mismo. No? So let's run this. Okay, and then this is very intuitive. No? So this measures the cumulative return. Okay, so ina-add niya yung mga returns. Pag bumababa, ibig sabihin, ina-add niya yung bumabagsak yung negative yung returns. Okay, so since the beginning, yung January 1, 2017 hanggang December 31, ang cumulative returns tumaas naman, positive. No? Okay, so ito yung daily returns. No? Daily returns, cumulative returns, at saka itong drawdown. Diniscuss ba si Inve? Inve yung drawdown? guys. Mukhang hindi nyo alam, no? So, I leave that to you guys to research on ano ba yung drawdown. Pero madaling ano yan, guys, no? Kasi tingnan nyo, oh. So, pag bumababa yung cumulative returns, ano nangyayari? Di ba? It follows but not always, no? Not always. Okay? So, kita nyo, gitna yan, no? Zero yung gitna, no? Okay, so, may idea na kayo kung ano yung drawdown. Okay, sige. Alamin nyo na lang guys ha. But that's a very important concept, yung drawdown. Yung fluctuation niya above and below. No? Okay, so, alright. Okay, ito sorry guys, medyo hindi ko pa makita yung mali ko dito eh. No? I've been trying to check this. Ulitin ko nga sandali ah. Run ko to. Okay, okay naman yung first object, yung mean, ito yung dati yung mean var 1. Tapos pag prinat ko na yung chart risk reward, let's just check. Sana I hope mag-run. Kasi nasustall ako dito sa chart ng risk that reward. So kasama guys sa requirements sa ano nyo sa take home exercise, take home quiz will be dapat maparan nyo yung chart that risk that reward. Of course, ang first thing na gagawin dyan, alamin nyo kung ano ba itong chart risk that reward na to. What does that give us? Ginagamit natin yung mean var opt, okay, weights, risk that column is standard deviation, return that column is mean, okay. So nagra-run pa siya guys. Dali lang ha. Okay. And then you have to plot dun sa take home yung efficient frontier. So kung hindi nyo alam kung ano yung efficient frontier, medyo mag-read up na kayo doon, ano? Okay, ayaw pa rin talaga. Ano, nagkakamali ako dito sa... Okay. Tama yun, dapat ito yung ano eh. Kasi if I use port, dito port 1. Sandali lang ha. Okay, so it must have something to do with the ano. Okay. So part of your challenge is to dati na ano ko na to na naparan ko na to, no? So I don't know what's wrong with my model now. Of course, kaya-kaya naman na ma-decipher yan. Pero I will leave that to you guys. So kasama sa requirement nyo yung efficient frontier. Bali guys, ang mangyayari sa take-home quiz nyo, you'll just replicate this. Of course, iba yung stocks na gagamitin nyo. No? Iba. So magkakaiba kayo. I-announce ko yan sa ano natin, sa Canvas. Okay, ito naman, okay. Nagka-error din yata ako dito. Wait, dali ah. Error pa rin. No? Yung sa efficient frontier, I will have to check this. Kasi nagkaka-error ako. No? Hindi ko pa talaga na-check. No? Okay. Now, guys, just 2 minutes. No? Let me just show you yung rebalancing. Okay, may notes lang ako dito guys, yung importance ng rebalancing in case you don't know. May magandang discussion yan sa Investopedia. Dapat pala dun ko linagay yung importance ng rebalancing sa taas. Let me put that here. Control X. Doon ko ilalagay sa rebalancing natin dito sa ano. Dito sa unang portfolio returns. Okay, ito. Okay. So linipat ko lang doon. So balik na ako dito. Okay. Alright. So this is 4A.1. Okay. Create. Gagamitin pa rin natin guys yung ano, yung mean var opt1 rebalancing. So So gagamitin natin guys yung optimize that portfolio point rebalancing. Pareho pa rin yung port 1, pareho pa rin yung portfolio natin na port min var. Okay? Pareho, ang nabago lang guys yung function natin na optimize portfolio that rebalancing. Okay, so everything is the same. Okay, so read up na lang kung ano yung training period at saka yung rolling window. Okay, and then view. Sorry guys for the little extension. Ayan, okay? So ito din, ganun din guys, no? Yun nga lang yung optimal ano natin, hindi yung may rebalancing na siya. Which we showed a while ago, dun sa 50-50 lang, dun sa unang ano natin, mas maganda talaga yung rebalancing. Ngayon ito na may optimization na, let's see, no? Tingnan natin to extract weights. Okay, take a look guys. Hindi na siya isa, no? Hindi lang isa yung weights. Kasi ang rebalancing natin dito, ano ba yung nilagay ko dito? Ang rebalancing natin is quarter, no? So every quarter lang, no? Para mas, kanina kasi monthly yung ginawa natin. Every quarter. Okay, take note guys, at the end of the first quarter, nag-rebalancing siya. Okay, so the weights kept on changing every end of the quarter. Kasi quarterly, hanggang dulong-dulo. No? So you see here, variable weights for Apple at saka variable weights for Google. Okay? So extract naman natin yung ano yung objective measures. No, iba-iba din, hindi lang isa, no? So standard deviation nagbabago siya per quarter. Yung isa kanina kasi yung objective measures natin isa lang, di ba? Isa lang kasi hindi naman tayo nagre-rebalance. Ito, every quarter nagbabago yung ano. Tingnan nyo if you recall kanina yung risk natin 0.16. 0.016. Ito may 0.014, may 0.010, di ba? Okay, of course, may mga quarters na mas mataas siya, pero marami guys na mas mababa kaysa dun sa 0.016. Diyan ano to? Okay, so sige, tapusin natin to guys. Ito na lang, no? Okay, so pag rebalancing guys, kung ano yung mode ng rebalancing kung monthly, then every month magkakaroon tayo ng panibagong panibagong weight at saka panibagong objective measure, yung risk natin. Okay, so ito i-chart din natin. Tingnan nyo itong chart Okay, so syempre iba din yung chart nito. Yan, tingnan nyo. Ito na yung changes ngayon. So this is at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter, tingnan nyo, medyo nagbabago-bago yung ano, yung weights, no? Yung distribution ng weights ng ano natin ng stocks. Okay, and then chart performance summary, halos pareho lang yan ng ano ng okay, oops, nagkamali ako dito. Anong mali ko dito? Hindi pa ako nagpa-perform. Okay, dito. Okay. So ito yung returns natin. And then summary ng performance. Okay, ito. Meron din tayong ano, cumulative. All right. Okay, so let's end there, guys. Okay, so we looked at risk minimization as an optimization objective. Now, sa next meeting, guys, wala nga pala tayong pasok sa wala tayong pasok sa Thursday, so stop recording ko muna. I'll be requesting guys na mag-meet ulit tayo Thursday at saka ano ulit. I hope you can come again. Stop